So, like I mentioned, we'll go ahead and get started here with our presentation tonight. We are covering partner play, rules 22 and 23. Both forms of play, foursomes and fourball, have a side. We're dealing with a side of either two partners or in some cases more than two partners, what those partners can do, and so on and so forth. So we will jump right into the heart of what we're going to be talking about. The purpose of these two rules. An overview of the two forms of play, foursomes and fourball. Scoring in both formats. One of those formats being a little more straightforward than the other, but go through the scoring. The order of play in both of those formats involving when you have two players playing on a side, how do you play the order? Some partner actions in both formats. Starting the round when a hole is over in fourball. Restrictions on what the partner can't do. And in fourball when a penalty applies to one partner or side. So about the rules covering these two forms of play. Uh, rules 1 through 20 cover both forms of play, foursomes and fourball. But Rule 22 altering those forms for foursome play when you have two partners playing foursomes. How strokes are alternated between the partners, what the player can and cannot do for a partner, starting the round in foursomes, circumstances when the partners may share clubs. Those are all altered by Rule 22 when you're playing foursomes. Likewise, Rule 23 alters Rules 1 through 20 for fourball play. Scoring, the scorecard in fourball, when one partner is acting for the side versus the other partner acting for the side, the order of play, circumstances when they may share the clubs, and how penalties affect the side in fourball. Both foursomes and fourball can be played as a match play or a stroke play format. We'll cover the some differences when we're playing match play or stroke play with foursomes or fourball and when those differences pop up. Purpose of the rule, again, covering foursomes when two partners are competing together as a side by alternating making strokes at a single ball. Rule 23 covering fourball when partners are competing as a side while each playing their own ball. Again, played in either match play or a stroke play format for either of those two things. Some of us might know foursomes by a different name, commonly referred to as alternate shot, but the rules refer to it as foursomes. It's just a form of play involving partners playing together as a side, playing one ball in alternating order on each hole. So a common format we see in the President's Cup, Ryder Cup, Curtis Cup, Walker Cup, they all use foursomes as one of their formats in that competition. We are just two players playing as a single unit, one side, alternating strokes at one ball. Like I mentioned before, rules 1 through 20 apply to foursomes, but we're modifying some of those things with Rule 22. We have a variation of foursomes known as threesomes, where we have an individual player playing a match against another side of two partners, and the side of two partners is just simply alternating shots at one ball and playing the match against the individual player. So similar to a foursomes match, but the opposing side or the opposing party in this case is just a single player for threesomes. Our overview of fourball, form of play, either match play or stroke play, when two partners are competing together as a side when each player is playing their own ball. So unlike foursomes where there's only one ball in play for the side, in fourball, there's two balls in play for the side. Each player is playing their own ball. And then the side is simply just scoring the lower score of the two partners for that hole. So in this case with fourball, even though both partners are playing their own ball, only one score is going to be counting here. Just like with foursomes, rules 1 through 20 apply to the form of play, and we're just modifying it with Rule 23, specifically applying to fourball play. Like with foursomes, having a variation format with threesomes, fourball also has a variation, another match play variation known as best ball. Similar to threesomes, we have three players playing here. We have an individual playing as their own person, and we have a side of two or three partners, and they're all playing their own balls, and they're scoring one ball for the side, comparing it against the individual who is playing against them. So a lot of people refer to fourball as best ball, and they think it's an interchangeable term. But fourball is really a match play or a stroke play format. Best ball is a specific format to match play where an individual player is playing against a side of multiple partners. In both forms of play, we see this commonly in foursomes and four ball. We're talking about foursomes here for a second. In foursomes, either partner may act for the side. Since the side is playing one ball in foursomes, we're thinking of this as they're essentially one unit together. They might as well be one person, but the either partner may act for the side because they're only playing one ball. And whether it's one partner's turn to play or the other partner's turn to play, either partner may take any allowed action for the side before a stroke is made, marking, lifting, replacing, dropping, placing the ball. Whether it's partner A or partner B's turn to play, either partner can take any of those actions concerning the golf ball. In foursomes, as both partners are competing against one side playing one ball, the partner and their caddies may help the other partner, and the other partner's caddy may help the other partner in any way they're allowed to give help, such as asking advice, taking any action under Rule 10, carrying clubs, anything that one caddy can do for one player, the other caddy can do for the other player. Again, in foursomes, we're all just kind of acting like everyone is one unit together. Even though they can give any help that they can give normally to the person they're caddying for, they're still restricted on any other restrictions that they're not allowed to give help for, or any other restrictions that Rule 10 places on caddies normally. Any action or breach by either partner or either caddy of the rules. Again, since we're only concerning with one golf ball in foursomes, any action with a breach by either partner or either caddy is just going to apply to the side itself. One ball in play, we're treating this as just one unit is getting the breach of the rule. So an action of the breach by any person in foursomes is going to apply to the side as a whole. If we're playing a stroke play format in foursomes, only one of the partners needs to certify the side's whole scores on the scorecard. So even though there's still two partners for the side, only one of those partners needs to certify the side's scorecard if we're playing stroke play. One of the key things with foursomes is that side must alternate in making shots. That is the whole point of the format. That's why it's also known as alternate shot. So on each hole, partners must make each stroke in alternating order. They must alternate the order in which they play first from the teeing area of each hole. So if partner A is the first one to play from the teeing area, the next stroke will be made by partner B. Then the third stroke will be made by partner A, and so on and so forth until the ball is holed in that order. Prior to 2023 with foursomes, the rules of golf did call out an odd even specification for the format of foursomes. They did very specifically lay out an odd even requirement. But since 2023, the rules have gotten rid of that odd even requirements. And now it's just implied that we're alternating who plays first from the teeing area of each hole. Again, once that first stroke's made from the teeing area, we're alternating strokes for the rest of the hole until that ball is in the hole. In foursomes, if a stroke is canceled, replayed, or for some reason otherwise doesn't count for a rule, except when a stroke's made in the wrong order, and we have another piece of the rule that's covering that. But if we have a stroke that's canceled, replayed, or otherwise doesn't count, that same partner who made the stroke must make the next stroke for the side. So if we are, for some reason, in a match play format, and the side does something that the opponents would have the opportunity to cancel, that next person up would be the same person who just made the stroke. So if partner A in foursomes does something in match play that the opposing side cancels, it is still partner A's turn to play for that next stroke. Does not change the order there. When the side decides to play a provisional ball, so maybe the original ball might be out of bounds, and the side is going to play a provisional ball. That provisional ball is to be played by the partner whose turn it is to play the side's next stroke. So if we are starting to play the hole and it is partner A's turn to play, partner A just hit a ball that could be lost or out of bounds, and the side decides to hit a provisional ball. It is partner B that will be hitting that provisional ball. Another common thing that comes up with foursomes that sometimes people don't always understand or they misinterpret, but In foursomes, when a penalty stroke is applied to the side, maybe we're taking relief for a penalty area or an unplayable ball, or a penalty is attached some other way. Maybe the ball was moved by a partner or a caddy, and that side got a penalty for moving that golf ball. The penalty strokes don't affect the alternating order of play. So partner A hits a shot into a penalty area. The side decides to take relief from that penalty area, dropping the ball and taking a penalty stroke under that rule. It is not side A or not player A's turn to play again because of that penalty stroke. It will be player B's turn to play. So penalty strokes do not affect the alternating order of play in foursomes. We do have one small clarification that goes along with that is that a player may not purposely miss the ball to affect the order of play. So if a player A's turn to play a shot and they really just don't like the shot they're about to play. Player A cannot purposely miss the ball, so player B can now play that ball from that spot. If the player intentionally misses the ball in foursomes, it's still going to be their turn to play, and that stroke does not count. They have not made a stroke since they had no intention to hit the golf ball. What can go wrong in foursomes to earn us a general penalty? Well, we can make the stroke in the wrong order. Making the stroke in the wrong order in foursomes, maybe it was player A's turn to play and player B made the stroke, so they made a stroke in the wrong order, or didn't alternate strokes. Player A played two successive strokes, or B played two successive strokes in foursome without alternating. The side is going to get themselves a general penalty. In match play, it's really easy. Once this happens, the side loses the hole and then we're all done there. But in stroke play, this is one of our must corrects in stroke play. We must correct that by having the right partner make a stroke from where the side made that stroke in the wrong order. So where that stroke was made in the wrong order, we're going back and playing a ball from that spot by the partner making the right partner making that stroke. The stroke made in the wrong order doesn't count. Any more strokes before that mistake is corrected also don't count. The side is earning that general penalty, like I mentioned, but the strokes in this case are not counting. Like with any of our other must corrects in stroke play, the side does not correct that mistake before making a stroke to begin another hole, or if it's the final hole of the round before returning their scorecard, the side's going to be disqualified for not correcting that mistake. So with foursomes, that order of play is pretty dictated based on the alternating order of strokes because that's the whole point of the format. With four ball, the order of play, because we're dealing with two players playing their own golf ball, the order of play with four ball is a little bit different because we have two balls in play. But simply with four ball, the partners of the side, they can play in whatever order they consider best. So if we have partner A and partner B playing as a side in four ball, and it becomes partner A's play to turn, or excuse me, partner A becomes their turn to play. Either partner A can play because it's their turn to play, or partner B can play because someone else, part of their side, it was their turn to play. So the side can really play in whatever order they consider best. One small exception to this is when match play, when partner A's stroke is conceded, partner A must not continue playing once their stroke has been conceded if that stroke would help their partner. Really common scenario, we have a partner's ball laying on the putting green. Maybe they're laying four and they're going to putt because their putt is on their other partner's line of play. Their other partner is attempting a putt for three. Maybe that first partner is going to play to show their other partner the line of play. The opposing side concedes partner A's stroke because they don't want them to show their partner the line of play. So that stroke is conceded for a four. And then partner A goes ahead and putts anyways, just to show that line of play. After the stroke was conceded, no penalty for this, but partner A's score is going to be what counts for the side. Partner B can no longer count for the side. So essentially, at that point, the hole is over for the side. There we go.
Is that the difference between the match versus best ball? Like you got to hold it out versus like match?
Or do you talking about between four ball stroke play and four ball match play?
Well,
I'm
one you
not
have to
I'm not
hold
quite I'm
out,
not
the
quite
other one you can
understanding your
concede.
question there. Yeah, I'm not quite understanding your question.
I don't know it either. Don't worry about it. Thanks.
Okay, we'll keep moving on. Scoring in four ball. Between the two formats, scoring in foursomes is pretty easy since there's only one ball in play for the side. Scoring in foursomes is just treated the same as if it was an individual format since there's only one ball in play. With scoring in four ball, since we're dealing with two balls in play for the side, we have a little bit of a difference with scoring in four ball. We have scenarios where both partners complete the hole or hole out, with only one partner holing out. And we need to know when neither partner holds out. So some differences there with scoring in four ball. When scoring in four ball, and goes for match play and stroke play when both partners hole out or otherwise complete the hole under the rules. Simply, we're just taking the lower score of the side for the hole. So if Kate and John are playing as partners, in this example with hole number one, Kate with a four, John with a five, both Kate and John got the ball in the hole in those number of strokes. We're simply taking the lower of the two. We're taking Kate's four for the side score when both of these partners hold out and recorded a score. When only one of those partners holds out or completes the hole under the rules, and again, this goes for either match play and stroke play in four ball, we're taking the partner's score who hold out. So we look at hole number two in this example. Kate and John are still both partners here. John holds out for a three. Kate chooses not to hole out. Maybe Kate had a putt for a four. Kate maybe had picked up earlier in the hole. Whatever the case might have been, Kate chooses not to complete that hole and hole out under the rules. John holds out for a three. John has the only score eligible for the side here. We're just taking John's three for that side. In match play and stroke play, when neither player holes out or otherwise completes the hole under the rules, simply the side doesn't have a score for that hole. And in match play and stroke play, we have two different outcomes here when neither player holes out, and we don't have a side for that hole. In match play, the side just loses the hole. We're just treating this as a loss of hole. Side doesn't have a score. They chose not to hole out. Whatever it might have been, it's treated the same as essentially if they conceded a loss of hole. However, we want to chalk it up. The side just lost the hole. If the side otherwise, unless they conceded or otherwise lost, that outcome was already decided. But in match play, we have a loss of hole. In stroke play, if we have a failure to hole out from the side, and neither partner completed the hole under the rules or holed out the ball. And we have a situation where, much like in foursomes, where we made strokes in the wrong order and we had to make a correction. In stroke play, we have to make a correction here. If both players failed to hole out, we got to correct that by getting a ball in the hole and getting a score for that scorecard. If we go on to start the next hole or for the last hole of our round, turn in our scorecard, the side is going to be disqualified because they just don't have an eligible score for that hole. When we have a four ball stroke play format and we have a scorecard, we have a couple things to talk about. We have a side responsibility for a scorecard in four ball, and we have the committee's responsibility for the scorecard in four ball. In four ball, the side is responsible for putting on the gross scores for each hole on their scorecard, whether it's a match play or not match play, whether it's a net or a gross format. The side is responsible for their gross scores on the scorecard. Each hole, they got to have at least one gross score of one partner on that scorecard. No penalty for entering more than one partner's score on the scorecard, because like we mentioned before, if both partners hold out under the rules and both partners recorded a score, simply the lower score of those two partners is going to be the one that counts for the side. So there's no penalty for entering more than one score. If we have more than one score, great. We know which one we're taking though, but no penalty for entering more than one score, but we need at least one score on that scorecard. Something that players, I wouldn't say often get wrong, but often don't think about when they're recording their scores on a scorecard in four ball stroke play is that each score on the scorecard must be clearly identified to the partner who made that score. We see in this case the highlighted score there with Kate and John. Kate made a 6 on the ninth hole. John made a 5. If Kate made a 5 and John made a 6, we would need that flipped around the other order. It's not enough just to have both of those numbers in two boxes on the scorecard. We need to know the partner who made each of those numbers, and it needs to be identified to that partner. If we have a case where the score is not identifiable to the partner or was identifiable maybe in the wrong way, or it's not clear as what the partner who made it, we can't figure out what that score is or who made that score, we're going to disqualify the side for not identifying the partner who made that score. It's not simply enough to identify a score for the side in general. See an example here of a scorecard with both players, and we just see one score across the board, overlapping both boxes. This scorecard would not meet the requirements in four-ball stroke play, and this side would be disqualified if they turn in a scorecard in that fashion. Much like in foursomes, only one partner needs to certify the whole scores on the side's scorecard, even though there's two partners as part of the side. We just need one partner to certify it here. Getting onto our committee's responsibility in four-ball stroke play, even though the partners are responsible for listing down those numbers in the correct box attributable to the correct partner, it's going to be the committee who is responsible for deciding which hole counts for on each hole. And if it's a handicap competition, it's also going to be the committee that's going to be responsible for applying any handicap calculations to that scorecard to figure out a net score for a handicap competition. The rules are telling us that the lower score for the side is what's counting for the side's score in four ball. So the rules are already telling us which score counts, but the committee is going to be the ones that are going to be responsible for identifying that. Simply, if there's only one score identified or entered for a hole, that score is going to count for the side, just like the rules tell us. The scores of both partners are entered for a hole. If those scores are different, the lowest scores are going to count for the side. If the scores are the same, and for some reason the committee finds that there is a wrong score there, the committee can revert to the other score to count for the side, since the scores were the same in the first place. Again, if the score that counts for the side is not clearly identified to the score of the individual partner who made it, in this case, we're just writing one score down in general and not identifying it to that certain partner in four-ball stroke play, the committee is going to disqualify that side. If we have a score counting for a side, in this case, the 18th hole, Kate's 4 is counting for the side. And if that score is, if a player is disqualified relating to the play of that hole, so something comes up relating to Kate's play on the 18th hole, that would disqualify or carry a penalty of disqualification. The side is going to be disqualified in this case because it was Kate's score or the lower score in this case that was counting for that hole. An action on that hole or relating to that score carried a penalty of disqualification. The side is going to be disqualified in this case. We're not going to revert to the other score, that other partner, because originally that other partner's score was not the counting score. So in this case, because the counting score had a disqualification penalty attached to it, we're going to disqualify the side in this case. Shifting back to foursomes, and I know we're jumping kind of back and forth between the two formats here, but we're kind of trying to, every time we hit a topic, we're trying to kind of relate it how it applies to both forms of play. So shifting back to foursomes, and when we're starting the round in foursomes, simply the partner to play first, the side may choose which partner is going to play from the first teeing area. Again, prior to 2023, there was a call out to odds and evens and how it related to which player was going to play from the odd numbered tees and which player was going to play from the even numbered tees. Since 2023, the language has got removed that odd and even specification. And simply, we're just calling it the first teeing area. Once a partner plays from the first teeing area, we're alternating play in subsequent teeing areas here. Typically, the partners or the side is going to choose which partner is going to play from the first teeing area, unless the terms of the competition specifically are going to choose that for the side. So The terms of the competition, let's say it's a mixed competition. We're having maybe mixed genders or mixed tees in a mixed foursomes competition. The terms of the competition could call out that a specific partner playing specific tees will play from the first tee, or a specific gender will play from the first tee. That's not typically the default. The terms of the competition will have to say that, but the default is that the partners are going to be able to choose who plays from the first teeing area to start the round. Once that partner makes a stroke to start that first hole, the side's round has been started in foursomes. Relating to the starting time and the starting point in foursomes, where it's going to be applied to each partner a little bit differently. And this depends on who is going to be playing first for the side from that first teeing area. Whoever is going to be the partner who plays from that first teeing area, that's the partner who has to be ready at the starting time and at the starting points. Just like with an individual form of play or something else, if the side's tee time is 9 o'clock from the first tee, whatever partner is going to play first for the side must be present at 9 o'clock, and that is 9:00 and 0:00 seconds and 00 milliseconds. They must be ready at that point at the first teeing area with a ball and club in hand, ready to play at that point. The partner who will play second, or who's going to play, who's going to be alternating the stroke here, so they're going to be the second partner to play the second stroke. They can either be present at the starting point, they can be right there with their partner at the starting point and at the starting time, or at the starting time, they can be on the hole near where the ball is expected to come to rest from the teeing area. So if we have a par four, and it's expected that that partner's tee shot is going to come to rest somewhere near a fairway bunker or somewhere in the fairway, that next partner to play can be somewhere down near the fairway at 9 o'clock, ready to play. And that's going to be okay too. They don't have to be up at the tee with their partner. So they can be present at either of those two starting points. Either partner is not present in this way, the side's going to be in breach of our starting time rule, just like they would be in breach with it if they weren't there present for an individual event. So they have that 5-minute buffer time to start their round with a general penalty if they're late less than 5 minutes. If they start early, earlier than 5 minutes, they're still going to apply that same way, starting their round with a general penalty, unless any extenuating circumstances are going to get them out of the penalty. So not an auto DQ. If they're more than 5 minutes late, maybe one partner is not there at either point, more than 5 minutes after that starting time has come and gone, that side is going to be disqualified, just like they would in an individual form of play in foursomes. In four ball, when we have two partners playing their own ball, we have something a little bit different when the round is starting in four ball. We also have something a little bit different when the hole is completed in four ball. In foursomes, we don't really need to call out when the hole is completed in foursomes because in a match play format, it's just like an individual match play format. Since there's one ball in play in foursomes, hole's completed when it's either conceded, loss of hole penalty comes up, or otherwise. In foursome stroke play, the hole is completed when that one ball gets in the hole and we have a score. But in four ball with two balls in play, the hole is completed in a slightly different way. So let's first look at when a round starts in four ball, when we have two partners playing their own ball. When the round starts is when one of the partners makes a stroke to start their first hole. So if we have side AB in a four ball form of play, side A has made their stroke to start their first hole. The round has started for the side in that case. So player B in that side's round has also started once side A or player A has made that stroke. When the round ends in match play for four ball, either side has won the match in match play. The round is over. If the match is tied after the final hole and the terms of the competition say the match may end in a tie, the round is over in four ball match play. Four ball stroke play, when the side completes the final hole by either both partners holing out, one partner holing out on the final hole and the other partner choosing not to do so, the side's round has ended in four ball stroke play. Getting on to when our hole is completed in that four ball stroke play form of play In match play, the side's completing a hole when either both partners have holed out or both partners had had their next strokes conceded in match play. In match play as well, when one partner is holed out or had their next stroke conceded, and then the other partner chooses to hole out or has a score that cannot count for the side because they can't go lower than what their partner has holed out for or has been conceded for. And then finally, when the results of the hole has been decided, such as when the other side's score for the hole cannot be lower than what the side could possibly make. Again, a general penalty comes up for one of the sides in match play. A loss of hole penalty happens. Then the hole is completed in match play. In stroke play with four ball, the hole is completed when the side has either completed the hole with one of the partners holing out, and the other partner has either holed out, chooses not to hole out, or has been disqualified from the hole in stroke play. So that hole is over. In four ball, we don't need both partners to be playing the hole. In four ball, one or both partners might be able to represent the side in the play of the hole in four ball during any or all part of the round. It's possible you can play a four ball form of play with only one partner for the entire round. That partner is just playing by themselves as part of the side in a four ball form of play. You can have a partner show up late in a four ball form of play and miss the first handful of holes and maybe join their partner later in representing the side. So even though four ball is two players playing as a side, playing their own separate ball to count for the side, we don't need both partners here to have a four ball form of play. If one partner is absent and then arrives to play, that partner may start play for the side only between the play of two holes. So if we have a partner that, let's say, has missed the first four holes, and then they have arrived to meet their partner, we have some restrictions on when that partner can then join in and start playing golf to represent the side. In match play, before any player in the match starts the hole, so if we have a match between side AB and CD, and let's just say in side AB, player B was absent and then shows up to represent the side. If any player A, C, or D has started the hole, that partner then arriving can only start play until the next hole. So once any player in the match starts that hole, and then that partner arrives, that partner cannot join in until the next hole. In stroke play, if we have a stroke play with side AB playing with side CD, and partner B is absent, if partner A has not teed off yet, partner B can join in. But if partner A has teed off, again, partner B can only join in at the start of the next hole. So if partner A has started a hole, partner B is stuck until the next hole. So they can do a couple things. They can still give advice to the other partner during the play or during the hole they're not allowed to play on. They can still give advice or help to the other partner like they normally would be able to do. They can take actions for the other partner on that hole, take actions concerning their partner's ball, marking, lifting, cleaning, replacing. Anything that the partner can do, the other partner is allowed to do, even though they're not allowed to play on the hole. If we have a scenario where a partner shows up late and is not allowed to play on the hole until the next hole, let's say we're playing hole 5 and that partner B is not allowed to join in until hole 6, but then player B decides to make a stroke on hole 5 when they're not allowed to do so, the side is going to get the general penalty on that hole when a partner is not allowed to make a stroke and they do so. General penalty. Something we'll find in both rules and in both forms of play, foursomes and four ball, is that partners are allowed to share clubs in both of these forms of play. In both foursomes and four ball, partners are allowed to share clubs, can even have clubs in the same bag, but only allowed to do this if the total number of clubs they have together does not exceed 14. So if we have a partner form of play, whether this is four ball or foursomes, and we have side A, B, if partner A has 10 clubs and partner B has 10 clubs, even though they're under the 14 limit individually, they exceed the 14 limit combined. So they are not allowed to share clubs in that case. If partner A has 7 clubs and partner B has 7 clubs, together combined, they meet the requirement of 14. So in that case, they would be allowed to share clubs because the total number they have together equals 14 or less. Another thing we find in both rules and in both forms of play is the restriction on a player standing behind the partner when they are making their stroke. We have this restriction in Rule 10 relating to the caddy standing in what's known as the restricted area behind the player on their line of play, an extension of that player's line of play behind them. In Rule 10, this applies to the caddy, but in partner forms of play with four-ball and foursomes, this restriction has also been extended to the partner standing behind that player while they're making the stroke. So not allowed to stand on or close to an extension of the line of play behind the ball while that partner is making a stroke if they're doing it to gain information for their side's next stroke. If they're doing it inadvertently and they're not paying attention and they're just there on accident, there's no penalty here in this case. But if they're doing so deliberately to gain information for that next stroke and they're standing in that restricted zone on that extension of the line of play behind the ball, we are going to have an issue. What's the issue? If we breach this rule, we're going to get a general penalty. Hitting our last piece of partner forms, and this applies to four-ball specifically because in foursomes with one ball in play, the penalty is just applying to that one ball in play, and it's applying to the side as a whole because that's the only ball in play. We have a call out in foursomes or a specific rule in foursomes that is telling us that when we get a penalty in foursomes, certain penalties are either going to apply to one partner, either partner A or partner B, or if we breach a rule that carries a penalty, both partners as part of the side are going to get the same penalty in four ball. So when we get a penalty and a breach of a rule, penalty might either apply to that player alone or both partners to the side as a whole. Both partners are going to get the same penalty. And it depends on whether it's we're playing match play or stroke play in this case. We have some call outs to penalties other than disqualification. What happens when a penalty normally applies only to the player, not a partner. And 3 situations for a penalty other than disqualification that is going to apply also to the partner. So both members of the side are going to get the same penalty. Normally, when a player gets a penalty other than disqualification, that penalty is normally going to apply only to the player and not the partner, except in those 3 scenarios where the side is going to get the same penalty. Any penalty strokes added are only to the player's score, not the partner's score in this case. In this case, when we are only applying the penalty to the partner who breached the rule, in match play, the player who gets the general penalty, loss of hole, they're simply going to just have a score that cannot count for the side on that hole. Has no effect on the partner. The partner can continue to play for the side on that hole and record a score for the side. But in match play specifically, a player who gets the general penalty that only applies to that player, they're just going to be disqualified from the hole. We have 3 scenarios where a player's penalty also applies to the partner. So both members of the side are getting the same penalty. When a player breaches the equipment rule, the limit of 14 clubs, sharing clubs, adding clubs, replacing clubs, both partners are going to get the penalty. When a player's breach helps the partner's play, and in match play, when a player's breach hurts the opponent's play. In these 3 scenarios, we are also going to apply the penalty to the partner. When we have a breach of our equipment rule, the limit of 14 clubs, sharing, adding, replacing clubs, in match play, the entire side is going to get the penalty, in which we're going to adjust the match score, just like we would in an individual format. We're going to apply the result of the score. So whether the players lost, won, tied the hole, we are going to apply the results of that hole to the match status and then adjust the match from there. So if we have a breach of the 14 club rule, We know that is in match play. We're going to adjust that by losing the hole. We're first going to apply the result of the hole and then adjust it by however many holes we need to adjust it by, with limiting to a 2-hole adjustment. In stroke play, we have a 2-stroke penalty for a breach of that rule, maxing out at a penalty of 4 strokes. So in stroke play, if we have a breach of the 14 club rule, the partner is also going to get the same penalty, whether it's 2 or 4 strokes. In match play or stroke play, when the player's breach is helping the partner's play, both partners are getting the same penalty as the player. And the rules tell us, give us a few examples of when the player's breach is helping the partner's play. We have side AB playing against side CD in a 4-ball match, and A provides the wrong number of strokes they have taken to the other side, CD, and all 4 players are in contention during the hole. And side CD, sorry, I skipped ahead here. Seem to be missing a clarification here, but helping the partners play. I think the examples include some improvements to a partner's conditions affecting the stroke, maybe improving their line of play, improving their area of intended swing, maybe improving the lie of the ball. That would be an example of a breach by the partner helping the player, or a breach by the player helping their partner. So in that case, both players would get a general penalty if there is an improvement to the conditions affecting the stroke. So that's an example there of helping the partner's play. In match play, when we're breaching hurts the opponent's play, this is when we're getting into our example of giving the wrong number of strokes to either C or D. And C or D is basing their strategy on getting the wrong number of strokes during a hole. And then once C or D makes a stroke, player A is getting the general penalty for not giving that right information. Player B is also getting that same penalty because that breach hurt the opponent's play. The opponent's play was hurt based on that wrong information they got, and then they base their strategy on it. Since this is a match play format where we have an opponent, player A, B are getting the general penalty, both getting the general penalty. A and B are losing that hole. When we're giving that wrong number of strokes or failing to tell an opponent about the penalty, we're not considering it to hurt the opponent when the opponent is out of contention. So if the opponents are lying 6 and 5 on the hole and the players are lying 3 and 4, and there's no possible way that the opponents can probably make up those strokes to win the hole, and the wrong number of strokes was given. Now we failed to notify the opponent about a penalty or wrong number of strokes, but it didn't really hurt the opponent's play because there's no way they can probably win the hole just based on the amount of strokes taken. We're not going to consider this to hurt the opponent's play, and we're not going to apply the penalty to both partners, or we're not going to apply a penalty here just because that information wasn't relevant in the match. If we have a player who makes a stroke at a wrong ball, we're also not treating that as having helped the partner's play or hurting the opponent's play. If we have a person who makes a stroke at a wrong ball, only the player who's making the stroke at the wrong ball is getting the general penalty. So this is also not applying to the partner in this case. So John and Jay here, maybe they're part of a side in a 4-ball form of play. John plays Jay's ball as a wrong ball. If it's a match play form of play, only John is going to be disqualified from the hole since he gets a general penalty and loses the hole. But it's not going to affect Jay playing the hole here. Or if it was John playing as part of a side and Jay is an opponent in match play and John plays Jay's ball as a wrong ball, we're not treating that as hurting Jay's play. Again, John is just going to be disqualified from the hole because he got that loss of hole penalty. Nothing's going to happen to the other side or the other partner. When we get to our penalties of disqualification, if we have a breach of a disqualification by one partner, what does that mean? If we have a breach of a disqualification by both partners, what does that mean? And then what happens when we have a breach that only one player has a score? So when we have a breach by one partner with a of any of these rules, so a breach of player conduct, a breach of playing by the rules, clubs allowed to make a stroke, maybe a non-conforming club, failing to take a club out of play because they had too many clubs, playing a non-conforming ball, use of equipment rule, third breach of the unreasonable delay rule, uh, failing to do something when the committee suspends play, or a breach of a teeing area rule. That penalty carries that disqualification. If one partner does that, that means the side is disqualified. If any of those rules are breached by one partner, the entire side is going to be disqualified in this case. In match play only, if we have a failure to apply handicaps in a handicap match, or a wrong handicap was given and then we fail to correct that in match play, again, we're going to disqualify the side. And in stroke play, if we have an issue with our scorecard, if we have a wrong hole for a score, a failure to certify or return scorecard, second breach of our practicing on the course before between rounds rule, and then an issue with the scorecard in four ball, the side is going to be disqualified if one partner fails to do these things. Breach by both partners in starting or ending the round in four ball. We have a breach by both partners in failing to play in the same group. If we have a breach by both partners in stopping play when the committee requires play to be stopped. And then we have a failure of both partners to resume play when the committee resumes play after a stoppage of play. If both partners have breached those rules, we are disqualifying the side as a whole. Again, we need both partners to breach these rules to be disqualified. And in stroke play, a side is disqualified if at the same hole, both partners get penalties of disqualification for any of our rules with failing to hole out, playing from outside the teeing area, wrong ball, playing from a wrong place, and we didn't correct any of those things. Or if both partners played two balls during the play of a hole, both partners failed to notify the committee of playing those two balls at the same hole, both partners are going to be disqualified, thus meaning the side is disqualified. We have a breach by one player, and that means that only that player has no valid score on the hole. In all other situations, when the player breaches a rule of penalty of disqualification, the player's not going to be the player's not going to be disqualified, but we're going to have a player that's has a score that's not going to count for the side. So read that again. With player breach by one player means that only the player has no valid score for the hole. In all those other situations where the player breaches the rule penalty of disqualification, player's not disqualified, but they're not going to have a score for the hole where that breach happened. If we go back to all that list, the list we just ran over, all those penalties that carry disqualification, we're disqualifying the side. Any other penalty outside those lists that has a penalty of disqualification, we're just going to disqualify the player who breached that rule. And they're just not going to have a valid score for that hole. The other partner as part of the side, they can still have a valid score for that hole. So it's possible that in four ball, we can still have a valid hole for the side because the other partner did not breach one of those rules. But if we flip back to that list we just went over with all those things that the one partner does that disqualifies the side, or both partners do that disqualifies the side, those lists of those rules are going to disqualify the entire side. Everything else in the rules that carries disqualification is only just going to apply to that one player, and the other partner isn't going to be okay. In match play, if both partners breach a rule that does this, that's not part of one of those lists. If both partners breach that same rule in the same hole, the side's just going to lose the hole. We're not going to disqualify the side from the match or from the round. We're just going to treat it as a loss of hole. Ending that piece of it, we're leaving a little bit of time. We have about 9 minutes or so till the top of the hour. At this point, I don't see anything in the chat relating to questions, but if anything has come up with questions relating to either four ball or four sums and what those partners can or can't do, or if we want to flip back to one of the topics we just went over, happy to do so at any time. Jim is talking about, or Jim asked a question about reviewing 23.8 again. 23.8 relating to, I believe, the restricted area. We'll flip back here through our presentation with 23.8. And in foursomes 22.6. Talking about the restricted area, so that restricted area being that area on an extension of the line of play behind where a player is going to make their next stroke. So we see in a graphic here, a player is setting up to make that stroke. We have a line of play that goes to that flag stick. We also have that line that is going backwards from where that player is about to make that stroke. The rule that's in action here is Rule 10.2b4. So that rule is applying normally to the caddy not being in that restricted area. And solely being in that restricted area to either help a player with alignment or to gain information for a next stroke. But this is also extended in the partner forms of play to where the partner can also or cannot also stand on that extension of the line of play to gain information for that side's next stroke. So when my partner is getting ready and is taking their stance to make that next stroke, as a partner in four ball or foursomes, I cannot be standing behind my partner on that line to gain information for the next stroke. So I can't see, the ball flight. I can't see how my partner is lined up, if they're doing something to play that stroke or where that stroke might go. I just can't be standing on that extension of the line of play behind the ball, that restricted area. And that applies in both of those forms of play, four ball and foursomes.
What about
Hopefully,
putting on the green?
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what area of the golf course. This applies to every area of the golf course. Cannot stand on an extension of the line of play behind the ball while the partner is making that stroke. You can help them. You can stand with them while they're preparing to make the stroke. So if they have not, taken their stance to make the stroke yet, and we're both just reading a putt, or we're both just trying to figure out a line of play or whatever the case might be. But once a player has begun to take that stance to make the stroke, that partner, that caddy, cannot be in the restricted area, and then thus cannot be in the restricted area while the stroke is being made. So on the putting green, a lot of people think that they can stand behind their partner to watch the line of play or to watch that putt on the putting green. You can do so. You can come into that line of play once the stroke has been made. You just can't be standing there while the stroke is being made.
So I got a quick question. Talk to me about kind of like the invoking the right to play. Like when you're on the green, if you're last out and you putt, normal play people. I don't even know if that's still a thing where like they can still invoke the right to play. And obviously, you want to be courteous if you don't, and walk or impede other people's lines. But in that example where if your ball were to end up in front of your partner's ball, where you could potentially show them the line or not, is that something that's like frowned upon? Like you want to respect FISO when you're on the green with partners and you don't want to let someone invoke the right to putt out kind of thing?
I mean, in four ball, the side can choose to play in whatever order they want. Now, if it's a match play format, if the opposing side concedes the shorter putt because they don't want the partner to see the line of play by the shorter putt going first, at that point, the shorter putt has been conceded and cannot be played. If that putt is then played, then the partner whose putt was conceded is the score that's counting for the side, and the player at the longer putt can no longer count for the side. Again, going back to the original part of that rule, the side in four ball can choose whatever order they want to play in. In four ball, if the partner or if the side chooses to play the shorter putt first, and that putt hasn't been conceded, and the opposing side is not going to concede it, then the side can choose to do that. But in four ball match play, if the opposing side concedes that short putt, because exactly that case, they don't want you to see that line of play for the longer putt, then you get into the scenario where you either can't play it, or if you then do decide to make that stroke, you're going to be the side or the score that counts, and that longer putt can no longer count for the side. hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you.
Any other final questions before we wrap up? Again, thanks for taking the time tonight to learn a little bit more about partner play. Uh, Not something that comes up super often in our world. In CGA, we do open up our championship season with two events that deal with partner play. They're both four-ball events, so they do come up for us quite a bit in our world. But for most of us who play an individual form of golf, these things just don't come up all that often. But when we do have a partner, whether we're playing four ball or foursomes, it is helpful to know those intricacies of those two forms of play. So at this point, I'll go ahead and stop our recording for tonight.